We are right now live images in Caracas as the family of Maikelis is fully reunited as her father, which was one of the migrants that was kidnapped in El Salvador, was rescued by the Venezuelan government, back to in the flight that arrived on Friday. We are seeing live images as the father is reunited with the daughter. We have been providing live coverage updates of the history of this beautiful Venezuelan girl. These are live images we're getting, as we were saying, of this being fully reunited. Let's listen to what Rodriguez is saying. The same day that the barbaric act was committed to take over 200. At first, it was 251 people to El Salvador, and in the case of Maikel, is one of the most emblematic barbaric acts that were committed. They separate families, they take away their baby, they send the wife to a place, the Maikel to another, the daughter to another place. We were very emphatic to denounce what was happening, and the strong pressure inside and outside the United States forced them to return them. And it's in March when all this begins, because they are from the third flight that was traveling to Venezuela, and that weekend from the Texas Air Base where they were taken to El Salvador, and that can be certified by any U.S. authority. And in an act of wrath, of anger, they take them to El Salvador without taking into account that they have never been in El Salvador, without any guarantee in El Salvador. As testimony very clear, they beat them, they were tortured, they tried to create psychological issues. Cases typically seen in concentration camps by the Nazis.
Conversations and negotiations are only taking place with the United States government, not with the government of El Salvador. We never agreed to any conversation with the government of Nayib Bukele, because he's just a puppet. Because those who had made the presence of Venezuelan prisoners in those, well, the Americans changed the terms of the agreement, and in the morning hours between 12 a.m. and Friday 9 a.m. we reached an agreement to swap prisoners, and we will be swapping 250 prisoners, U.S. Venezuelan prisoners. With terrorists who had been tried and found guilty. At some point in the negotiations, we get the reports on each of the 252 Venezuelan prisoners 2 days before the negotiations. There was an impasse during the negotiations, and the negotiations continued in the night. And were Venezuelan politicians made part of this negotiation? No. Opposition leaders in Venezuela, we had talked to them, some of them, Zambrano, for instance, Romero, and they were saying that within this process hold the negotiations, talks. We should go back to a normal state of affairs, and that they should be. We need to create a favorable climate for political agreement between opposite sides. And what's left behind with this? First, we have completely dismantled the idea of these men being criminals. The intention of taking those men to a concentration camp in El Salvador. We have dismantled the idea about them being delinquents and assassins.
As we were accounting how it all happened, the negotiations for the return of these migrants. Let's listen to President Maduro. These are live images we are getting from the moment that President Nicolas Maduro participated in the re-encounter of the family of Maikelis. We must remember that
la reunificación de la familia venezolana como punto principal de todo esto, de este plan vuelta a la patria.
Well, we will listen live the images from Caracas at this joyful reunion of the family of Maikelys, of her father that is finally returned to Venezuela on Friday's flight, after the rescue of the over 250 Venezuelan migrants that had been kidnapped in El Salvador. Now they're all back in their homes and reunited with their families. And beautiful images we were getting from Caracas, as also President Nicolas Maduro participated in this re-encounter of the father with her daughter, and also we were able to listen to some statements by Jorge Rodriguez, the President of the National Assembly, who was recounting how the whole process of the situation underwent and the barbaric acts that were committed against these over 250 Venezuelan migrants that were kidnapped in El Salvador. Stay tuned with teleSUR English. We'll have more updates of everything that happens in Ocoña.